What's up, subscribers? Sunjutsu here, and today I have a pretty epic matchup for you guys. This one I've been working on for a little bit, and I thought of it, and I thought it would be pretty interesting, pretty cool to match these two epic figures against each other. So the first combatant we have is going to be Boba Fett, and Boba Fett is going to be versing Predator himself. Now, for this match, I decided to pick these two against each other because I feel like they're two master hunters from their respective universes, and it would be pretty cool to see how they would match up against each other, who would win. Now, you guys know that there are 4 different categories that I'm going to be having. Normally there are, sometimes there isn't, but normally there is, and this video there is, and I'll give the edge to each respective combatant for whoever wins over the other. Let's go ahead and jump right in to the categories. Weapons. The weapons that these warriors can field against each other, and who would get the edge in weaponry. Now, Boba Fett has a couple weapons that I'm going to go ahead and display on to you guys, and then I'm going to give you Predators and give you guys who I think gets the edge in weapons and why. So with Boba Fett, we have his classic EE3 rifle, who shoots bolts, plasma generated bolts. Those are the bolts that you see in Star Wars, heated plasma. It shoots them in rapid succession very quickly. It's a long range weapon, very powerful long range weapon. He also has a flamethrower that comes right out of his wristband. He has a rocket that he can shoot out of his own jetpack. He has other things as well, like rope cords that he can throw in and attach it to his adversaries. Now, for Boba Fett, the real shining light in his weaponry is going to be his EE3 carbine. That weapon is devastating. It shoots very accurately from very far away, and it shoots intense plasma beams in rapid succession. It's a very powerful tool that Boba Fett has at his disposal. Everything else is mainly to either slightly deter, slightly confuse, and give him the edge in certain aspects. But this weapon is his killer. This is what he is using, or is going to use, to be able to take on Predator. Now, Predator does have quite a bit of weapons of his own, and so let me go ahead and give you Predator's weapons. Now, he has his combi stick, which is a retractable spear. You've seen it in a couple movies. It can retract, it can expand. It's very accurate while it's thrown by Predator, very lethal. He also has a smart disc. They're basically shurikens. They're discs. They cut through about anything, really, almost anything. But the real shining light for the Predator's weapons is going to be his plasma caster, which also shoots heated plasma bolts. It's more of a scope and snipe type of weapon that he uses to shoot accurately. He's got a computer in it that can get accurate readouts, accurate coordinates of where you want it to shoot, and it seems to be a little bit stronger than the EE3 carbine in my opinion. But for the weapons category, I have to go ahead and give it to Boba Fett, because I believe out of all the weapons that each of them has, Boba Fett's weapons themselves are a little bit more advanced, a little bit more lethal. The only weapon that I don't see him very much using or getting a shot off is his rocket, because of his position that he's going to have to be in to be able to shoot that thing and get an accurate shot. But he does have the more high-tech weapons, even his EE3 carbine compared to the plasma caster, even though the plasma caster is 100% more accurate and it is a little bit stronger. The EE3 rifle is a lot faster. It's almost just as strong, if not just a little bit less strong than the plasma caster, and it again, it shoots really fast, and it's accurate from long range. So I have to give it to Boba Fett for weapons. The next category is going to be armor, and for this category itself, it's going to be pretty quick. The Predator really doesn't have much armor in terms of the armor that you would see in a conventional warrior. Basically, the Predator goes out with, it's kind of like a wire mesh, which is supposed to change and keep him comfortable through changing environments, hot, cold, very much varied environments, while his helmet, his mask, is really the only piece of armor that Predator has. That's the only thing that he has at his disposal. While Boba Fett, he does not completely encased in armor like some stormtroopers or like the clone troopers, but he does have quite a bit of armor, including a helmet that covers his entire head. And the Mandalorian armor that he does wear is very, very resilient, very, very resistant. It can deflect and has a good chance of deflecting pretty decently plasma bolts or bolts that are from smaller weapons, but also has the capabilities of deflecting larger weapons to an extent. The larger weapons can knock him down, knock him out. But as you guys can see from some of the scars on his helmet and his chest plates, that he has taken some very, very large bolts. So for this category, again, I have to go ahead and give it to Boba Fett for armor. Next category is going to be tactics. Now, for this category, I have to kind of view the Predator movies against the majority of what we've seen in Boba Fett in his own movies. And when it comes to tactics, I have to go ahead and just right off the bat give it to Predator. The reason I gotta give it to Predator is because Predator sticks to one thing, and he sticks to one thing very, very well. Concealing himself, laying down traps, outthinking his enemy, subduing his enemy without using much force, hunting the enemy with other means such as dogs and things like that, working together with other predators, while Boba Fett is mainly he's a bounty hunter, but is mainly a long-range fighter. He's got a rifle that shoots from far away. He's got a jetpack that keeps him at a distance. He's got light armor, so he can move pretty quickly. But as we've seen him deploy those things in even the comic books. We've seen him shoot from very far away. You go with his tactics, but especially in Return of the Jedi, this is where his tactics kind of get skewed, because he jumps in right in front of Luke Skywalker to fight him head on, closing the distance between them, and that was what ultimately, debatably, was his end, where he got his gun chopped in half, and also got his jetpack stabbed by the lightsaber, and he went flying into the Sarlacc pit. So for this category, I have to go ahead and give it to Predator. Last category is going to be the X Factor. As I had it in my other video, I didn't really think about it too much in that video, but in this video I did think about it a little bit more, and the X Factor for each one is something that I feel like gives them the edge in a different way against their opponent. So for Boba Fett, I have to go ahead and give it to his jetpack. The X Factor is his jetpack. It keeps him at a distance, it keeps him far away, it gives him the high ground, as we know famously that Star Wars likes to reference. So this should give him that X Factor to win over many opponents. He can get it, he can shoot, get in, get out, come back, hover there a little bit. Very versatile and very resilient. While we have Predator, and Predator has camouflage technology that lets him completely disappear in any environment that he is in, with having less difficulty in deploying this camouflage and even bringing it back after it has been taken offline, I guess, in some of the movies. So for this category, for this X Factor category, I'm gonna have to go ahead and give it to Predator. Main reason being is the Predator can take out Boba Fett's jetpack, and Boba Fett's jetpack, as we've seen in the movies and in some of the comic books, can be taken out. The Mandalorian's jetpack is easily sabotaged, I guess, by just blaster bolt, really. So that is a vulnerability, while Boba Fett really has nothing major that he can combat Predator's stealth-like armor or camouflage armor with. He really doesn't have much. For the most part, he really would have a difficulty fighting Predator and Predator's camouflage. So again, the edge is gonna have to go to Predator. This is it, guys. This is the end. And for this one, I have a special surprise for you. I created a story, and at the end, you'll see who wins in this fight. So right off the bat, this fight is taking place in a jungle planet, and Boba Fett is hunting Predator, thinking that he's tracking him down, while Predator is actually letting Boba Fett track him down, and he's actually hunting him using his camouflage. So let's go ahead and begin. So while Boba Fett is again tracking Predator, trying to hunt him down for the bounty, Predator is actually hunting him, leaving clues and leaving little tiny things so Boba Fett can track them down and Predator can have him right where he wants him. He is going to lay many traps, just like in the movies, for Boba Fett. But Boba Fett, being the master bounty hunter that he is, he's going to look through all these traps and avoid all of them. And that's when Predator knows that he has a actual formidable opponent. So this is when Predator decides to just take him out with one of his most devastating weapons, the plasma caster, and he aims that plasma caster right at Boba Fett's head, thinking that it's going to go right through it, just like he did in the movie. He's going to have the 3 circles he's going to imprint those 3 circles into Boba Fett's skull. So he aims, and at the last second, Boba Fett knows that he's being targeted by something, but he doesn't really know what, and Predator fires. The plasma bolts hit Boba Fett's head and leave very deep imprints, to the point where it kind of throws out some of the systems that are in Boba Fett's helmet, also letting him bleed a little bit because of the impact itself, but it did not go through Boba Fett's helmet. A dazed Boba Fett quickly gains his composure, realizes where the shot came from, and begins firing almost what would seem like wildly, but not really. He's trying to see any movement in the brush, until a couple of those bolts actually hit Predator a couple times, dropping down Predator's camouflage shields and wounding Predator gravely. He would continue firing at Predator as Predator tried to dodge some of the bolts, but he would realize that against Boba Fett's marksmanship, he is outclassed in dodging. Seeing no other way than to attack, he pulls out his combi stick, it turns into a spear, and he lunges at Boba Fett, closing the distance greatly. Right before Boba Fett stabbed, at the last second, he starts his jetpack and simultaneously activates his flamethrower, singeing and blocking Predator with his flamethrower while getting into the safety of the air. At this point in the air, he would continue to fire at Predator. Now that Predator is at a disadvantage and he's an easier target, Predator would get hit multiple times by the blast of the EE-3 carbine, wounding him actually a lot greater than he was before, making him bleed out a lot. As Boba Fett's weapon overheats, Predator sidesteps under the brush and activates his camouflage once more. Still leaving his luminescent blood around, Boba Fett realizes that he has a way to track the Predator now, and decides to go ahead and shoot off his backpack rocket. The blast radius actually hits Predator, dropping his shield once more, but at this point it is far too late. Predator has, with his plasma caster, focused on Boba Fett's jetpack, and he blasts it right out of the sky. Boba Fett flails wildly until he ejects his jetpack and drops on the ground. As he gets to his feet, he looks up and sees a large Predator, wounded, bleeding, right in front of him. He pulls up his weapon, but at the last second, right before he pulls the trigger into Predator's face, Predator uses his shuriken to slice the EE-3 carbine in half. And at this point is when Boba Fett is completely dismantled, and Predator grabs him, grips him up into the sky by his neck, and cuts off his head with his shuriken, ending the once famous and infamous bounty hunter. So there you have it, guys. Boba Fett definitely loses against Predator. Now, the reason I have Predator winning is because of the main reason I have him winning is because of Predator size and his physiology. I didn't cover those in the edges, but the physiology of Predator makes him able to heal, or rather quickly, or quicker than humans, also making him extremely tough to wounds. While in the end, Boba Fett is still just a man, even though he is a clone technically, and a clone that was created to be a crazy good, advanced, and skilled and trained warrior. he's still no match for Predator and his physiology. Now, with that said, Boba Fett did have the edge almost unanimously in his technology that he used against the Predator, but the X factor was much greater in Predator's favor. The camouflage is just completely almost OP when it comes to this fight. The jetpack itself, though it gives him the higher ground, it's very, very vulnerable to getting hit by anything and flying radically. So the edge definitely comfortably goes to Predator. But guys, let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Who do you think would win in this matchup, Predator or Boba Fett? Again, put in the comment section below. Let's see if we can get over 50 likes for both these guys. These guys are both awesome. I love these two characters from these sci-fi universes. Please show them love. Hit that like button. Like this video. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button for more versus videos. Become a subscriber today. This is going to be Sunjetsu signing off. We have his classic EE3 rifle, who shoots bolts, plasma generated bolts. Those are the bolts that you see in Star Wars, heated plasma. It shoots them in rapid succession very, very quickly. It's a long-range weapon, very, very powerful long-range weapon. He also has universes, and it would be pretty cool to see how they would match up against each other, who would win. Now, you guys know that there are 4 different categories that I'm going to be having. Normally there are, sometimes there isn't, but normally there is. In this video there is, and I'll give the edge to each respective combatant for whoever wins over the other. Let's go ahead and jump right in to the categories. Weapons. The weapons that these warriors can field against each other, and who would get the edge in weaponry. Now, Boba Fett has a couple weapons that I'm going to go ahead and display on to you guys, and then I'm going to give you Predators and give you guys who I think gets the edge in weapons and why. So with Boba Fett, 2 epic figures against each other. So the first combatant we have is going to be Boba Fett, and Boba Fett is going to be versing Predator himself. Now, for this match, I decided to pick these 2 against each other because I feel like they're 2 master hunters from their respective. What's up, subscribers? Sunjetsu here, and today I have a pretty epic matchup for you guys. This one I've been working on for a little bit, and I thought of it, and I thought it would be pretty interesting, pretty cool to match these